Hello everyone, Shadefyre here, and welcome back to Let's Play Parasite Eve. This is episode 4. So, we went to the Museum of Natural History last time to talk to Dr. Hans Klomp, and now we have some kind of breakthrough that the chief is going to tell us about. We have an emergency meeting in the conference room, alright. So we haven't really heard anything from Eve today yet, after her escape through the sewers yesterday. But something must have happened. Let's go, folks, he says, but there's no one else here. The station really doesn't seem to have that many people in it. I mean, I guess most of them are out in the city. But it does seem like a bit of a skeleton crew. Melissa's solo concert was scheduled for today, which seems kind of odd that there would be some kind of concert presentation on Christmas Day. You think people would be a little too busy. Also, I like the little graph on the chalkboard there. She disappeared after last night's incident and the concert was cancelled. But people are still gathering at the stage. We must not let another massacre happen again. So these people are like, oh, that singer was at the whole Broadway incident where everybody died last night, and the concert was cancelled. Let's go show up there anyway. Like, surely nobody is that stupid. Well, okay. Not that many people are that stupid. Concert is at the Central Park Amphitheater, because of course, being in Manhattan, we have to have at least one part in Central Park. They're at that concert. My ex-wife loves opera. Daniel, you're a loose cannon, trying to rescue your kid. But Baker at least doesn't go like, oh, fucking Daniel, I gotta do something about him. He's like, just make sure he doesn't die. Alright. So we got another mod permit. I don't think I'm gonna use it right now. But I should at least deposit it so that it's not taking up a spot in my inventory, because inventory is a little limited right now. We can upgrade it with our bonus points, but we'll have to get some more levels for that. When are you gonna let me tune up the guns? I didn't ask to be assigned here to watch over the warehouse all day, you know. I just want to shoot shit. Hey, I know I can make a stronger gun than you. Guns aren't supposed to be stronger, you numbskull. That's why they reduced all of the caliber sizes after World War II, and they realized that the bullets did not need to be that large to kill people effectively. Also, why is it that Wayne has like a vest over his uniform? That can't be regulation. No, the ammo chest is refilled. I don't actually want to use it, so we're going to deposit it here. I believe he has infinite storage, or at least so much that we'll never need to use it all. But then again, we do have to deposit all of our keys, so that'll fill up a little bit. We can't store the club, and we've only got the one gun, so I think we're good. Until we get some more tools. Alright, let's head to Central Park. Like I said last time, there's gonna be some more combat in this episode. Because wherever Eve goes, there are NMCs, which is a term I don't think they ever use in this game. I think it's actually from the sequel that I've never played, but it's short for Neo-Mitochondrial Creature. Sort of our BOW term for this game. Hey, any news on the case? Oh, right, we already said that. I don't know why I give him that voice. It's just, his name is Eddie, and he's in Manhattan. Why does their garage have like a siren outside of it? And of course, being New York, there's absolutely no traffic whatsoever. So Daniel can drive at his normal light speed. What the hell does Eve want from us? At least he gives her her chosen identification. Well, it looks like she wants to gather people in one big area. Again, I don't think we can hurry any more than we are already hurrying. I can't remember if this track ever plays again in the game. I think it might at like one part. Alright, Central Park. I gotta get my boy, rookie. Oh, fuck my head. But he's fine. Like, he shook it off. Like, oh, my hand was on fire and I probably have third-degree burns already. Sometimes you gotta look before you leap, old-timer. The weird thing is, like, I guess Eve can choose to project an incineration field around her up to some distance. But it seems to be selective, as we'll see. I can't do anything. Counting on me. Think you can get some ammo out of the car? Nope, guess not. I'll find him. I won't come back until I do. Alright. Let's head in here. Central Park also has one of my favorite tracks in the game. We've already got another cop car here. But, like, it's just really surprising that people would be like, let's go to that concert. More ammo. And what do you think we're gonna find in Central Park? Well, first off, big fucking snakes. And these snakes will poison you if they bite you. But poison pretty much does what you'd expect. Drains your health while you're in combat. There aren't any status effects that linger outside of combat, though. So yeah, I don't know. Are there really that many snakes endemic to the kind of New York area? Aside from, you know, your basic garter snakes. However, there is something else in Central Park that's going to give us some trouble here, which is, of course, the Central Park Zoo. So we'll be seeing some interesting stuff over here. You know, aside from in this game, I was completely unaware that there was a zoo in Central Park, because I feel like it's something that doesn't normally get mentioned. Like, even that castle in Central Park gets more mention, I think. We got a new handgun, the P8. I don't think there's any really reason to use it. Handguns, I think, actually do charge your AT or your ATB faster because they're lighter, but aside from that, it's overall weaker than our current gun. I wonder what was in this middle bit here. Alright. Nothing too fancy here, just some crows, I suppose. With little long, like, stork legs. It's generally better to kite an enemy before shooting at times like that. Like, these enemies, they have to stop to attack you, so you wait till they get close, they do their attack, and then you can just do that. I do like that once you select your target, she will, like, one-to-one track their location with a gun and wiggle around. Alright, so we got some junk there, which is a broken item. It doesn't do anything, and it just takes up space in our inventory. Now, you'd think because Wayne has a discard junk option that you would actually, you know, it would waste space in your inventory and you have to use him to get rid of it, but no, you can just discard it, toss it in chests, whatever. However, there is actually a reason to bring junk to Wayne, which is that if you bring enough of it to him, he will give you a gun. Special guns that you can only get from him. However, you don't get to pick which one you get, he just gives you a random one after you give him like 200 pieces of junk. So that's the pain in the ass grind that I was talking about. Because there are very few enemies in the game, really, that drop the junk. There are the birds and sometimes the snakes in Central Park here, and then I think like one other enemy drops them. So of course, what are we gonna find in the Central Park Zoo office? We're gonna find a fucking grenade launcher. I guess that's for animal control? Eve was here. You probably could have guessed that from the mutated creatures and Daniel catching on fire. Alright, so we got the key. And I wouldn't normally use different weapons, but we're gonna just show off the grenade launcher here while I have it, since it has heat effects on the bullets, which is one of the status types. This area of the zoo is a little bit confusing. I get turned around in here sometimes. And then we have this thing. Now, what would you guess this thing is? Well, it's a monkey that has a boomerang arm that just comes off and then slots back in. One of the weirder things, but, you know, it's still fairly identifiable. Actually looks decently creepy now that you can see it in better detail. The wide, gaping mouth. That kind of makes it look like a vampire. So yeah, the grenade launcher's not great unless you're fighting something that happens to be weak against heat. You know, plant monsters and whatnot. There's one enemy in this area, though, that I have no idea what it's supposed to be. Like, what it came from. Got a tool. So with that tool, we could, for example, take the heat effect from the grenade launcher and put it on just a regular gun. And then it would do extra heat damage to anything that's weak against it. The other weird thing is that the grenade launcher just uses the same ammo as all of our other guns. There's only one other ammo type in the game, which we'll see, you know, much later. And something broke out of this conservatory area. Probably wasn't these snakes. They see that did like no damage, because I think these guys are resistant to heat. Yeah, it's like 1 damage. So instead, we are going to switch. Thankfully, you can switch weapons in mid-battle for situations like this to avoid the tedium of just having to grind these guys down. I feel like there's not a lot of games that let you do that. Did Final Fantasy X let you switch weapons in battle? I feel like that's one that might have, since it also let you switch party members in battle. This is actually a good place to grind in Central Park a little bit, just to get a couple levels, but you kind of get them just by exploring as well. There are many types of rainforest snakes. Some are poisonous, but most are not. So I guess that's where all the snakes came from. Look for the brown monkey, one of our many playful rainforest friends. I wonder if they have an actual, like, little indoor jungle area in Central Park. The giant worms of South America are very important to the rainforest ecosystem. Well, we haven't seen any of those yet. We've got a couple chests here. Some medicine too. Cure poison. And a defense plus. Oh, I didn't actually look at that vest we picked up. SP vest. Okay, this is better than our Kevlar vest, so we will switch it, and then we can use a tool to copy our Kevlar vest to our SP vest. And that's how you can kind of keep your bonuses throughout the game. Alright, so that gives us a little more bonuses on our current armor. And we'll use that item as well, just so we don't have to carry it around. Now you can see my inventory is also getting bigger as I level up. So you don't have to put your bonus points into that to get it bigger, but it'll speed up if you do. And you can see it costs 100 points to upgrade. Let's add another item slot. Some armor pieces will also have a item that will add like 4 slots to your inventory. Like a parameter, which again, you can move from armor to armor. Okay. I think we've gone the right way. I mean, some of these areas are optional, but I want to try to hit them all. The monkey is a lot more threatening here than the birds. Oh, unless he does that. I think the boomerang actually does a fair bit more damage. You can see her gun wiggle, though, when they're doing their attack. And that's really how you end up picking a lot of junk up. It's just by hitting accept all without really looking at it. More ammo. Again, ammo is not really something we're going to run short on very much. You can see we've got almost 100 rounds on backup. I think this is the extra way to go. No, we're back here. I think this is the area that I was trying to find. Oh, I didn't trigger a battle there. There is a battle there that I was hoping we would get. Oh, got one here instead. Okay, these things. I don't know what the fuck these are. It's just like a pile of dirt with vines coming out of it. So I don't know what these creatures were originally. Like, unless they're just vines? Oh, I did also incorrectly say in, I think it was the last episode, that plants do not have mitochondria in their cells. That's incorrect. They do have mitochondria. They just don't use them as their primary method of energy production. They use chloroplasts instead for photosynthesis. I'm gonna die here. Let's use a good healing item instead of my pretty weak heal spell. Oh no, poison clouds. And you know, the funny thing is, I actually was gonna look on the wiki to find the art for these and find out what they're supposed to be, but these are not even listed on the wiki, so I have no idea what they are. Okay, and there's a spell that gets rid of poison, so we don't even really need to carry around the Cure Peas too much. Once you get the cure spells for the various status effects, the items are just kind of wasting space in your inventory. There's no reason not to pick them up because, again, you can always just swap out items when you pick up something new. And I don't even think that door opens, so I think this was a dead end over here. Okay. I believe we have seen all of this area of the zoo. It's not a very large area, but it's a nice excuse to have more interesting enemies in this dungeon, because this is really kind of the first real dungeon of the game. And right here in this kind of snowy path area is the primary place that you'll want to grind junk, because there are a lot of birds around here. So when or if I do the junk grinding, I'll probably have to spend a couple hours in this area, filling up my inventory, running back to the police station, then running back here, fighting birds. It's not fun, but the weapons are pretty neat. And decently powerful, so it's not like they're a complete waste of time. All of the animals have escaped, she says just now. Okay, that is where we need to go. So before we go that way, let's take a loop around the paths here, because there are some items to pick up. This track is just so good. It's just, like, nice and upbeat. It makes you feel like you are on kind of a, action-y investigation. Ammo I don't really need. Medicine too I could use, since we don't have a good heal spell yet. More snakes. These guys don't even really give you a lot of XP. That's the thing, because of the way the battles work and how, you know, it's generally the same enemies that appear in the same battle trigger, to get kind of the good enemies that give you more XP, you just have to kind of grind one spot instead of, you know, a whole dungeon or whatever. It's like, nope, this is the one area of the map where this one big enemy spawns, so I gotta keep coming back here. But at the same time, that also kind of makes it convenient, because you don't have to run around doing all these small battles trying to find the juicy XP meat when you know exactly where it spawns. But I never really felt like the battles in this game are long enough or frequent enough to feel tedious when they pop up. they're just kind of paced better than a lot of random battles tend to be in games. We can't go this way, there's a crispy body in the way, and Aya is too polite to step over it. Well, we got this amphitheater over here, which I believe is also a real thing in Central Park. Where Eve Melissa is ready to put on her performance. You see how this looks like another door here? It's not. Never mind. I was just running on the wrong part. Yeah, okay. So, this is why I say her combustion field must be selective, because none of these people caught on fire. Just the people who were not part of the crowd or were trying to stop her. Also, she looks like she has very stubby little arms from here. But all these people are just like, floating monstrosity on stage. Let's see where this goes. It must be part of the opera. And this Christmas will be the most special of all. Arg. What? Special because I will no longer be under the control of a host, as I have since the dawn of time. Humans are weak Humans are weak. Mitochondria can self-evolve. Mitochondria must now take over the nucleus. Oh, my mitochondria is self-evolving. So instead of incinerating the crowd, she melts them down into a amorphous blob. I have to get backstage and stop her. I probably should have done that before she melted everybody, but I wanted to see where she was going with it too. Well, she end of Evangelion them. I do find it neat too that all of the kind of tracks that come on when Eve is around are kind of orchestral because of her origin. Alright, listen here, you Final Fantasy sorceress ass-looking motherfucker. Why are you doing this? What are you gonna do with all this jello? You again. But you are too late. You will not ruin my plans as you did last night. I mean, she set everybody on fire and then escaped. I don't see how that ruined her plans. Oh, I'm out of here. Just zoops out of here. Yeah, you might have thought we were going to fight her on stage, but no. I do like this track too as kind of like the weird something's going on music. More than the one that plays in the first area. So now that the ghostly little girl has run this way, we can bypass the corpse. With no issue. So we're not quite done in Central Park yet. Also, we really failed Daniel there with the whole rescuing Ben and Lorraine thing. I guess we could have scooped some jello up into a cup and said, you know, this is probably them. Look at that sneaky perspective chest. And I guess this is the castle. Alright, speaking of enemies that give good XP, here's a goddamn polar bear. With energy lightning shockwaves that come out of its fists. See if I can get this thing to turn around. It's got a good, like, creepy head. Nope, never mind, it's dead. Okay, it didn't actually give that much XP, but a little more than the snakes do. Problem is, you only fight one at a time. Use up some of our weaker medicine. Alright. So there's a lot of areas where, you know, we could just go beeline for the objective, but then we'd miss out on some guns, bullets, tools, you know, handy stuff. This castle has a name, I just can't remember it off the top of my head. But I do remember it being an important area in the Alone in the Dark remake? The one that was also just called Alone in the Dark? Okay, these are the twisty paths. Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't miss any areas. I'm trying to remember the layout of this area. So you might have thought that confronting Eve was the last stage of what we needed to do here at Central Park, but no. She's just flown away, and I guess we're expecting to catch up to her, even though we cannot float. It is a shame that this track replaces the other track for the entire area, though. Because it's not as catchy. This bit is a little bit of a maze of paths. But again, if you explore all of them, you'll get some extra loot. I think this is the chest. Defense +1. No reason to save that. Okay, I think this is actually the area where you would normally grind junk. I was mixing up the other snowy path. And it mentions how some snakes are poisonous and some are not. These little yellow ones are not poisonous, just the big red ones. I do like that some of that information in the environment is actually relevant to the enemies you fight. I don't really know how to avoid that lightning. It seems like it just covers all of the ground in the direction. These polar bears don't really look like they've evolved in a beneficial way, though. They just kind of look like they got a little rotten. I mean, sure, they've got lightning paws, but aside from that, they're not looking too beneficially changed. Pockets to carry more items. So that's only a +1, which is not great, but every little bit helps. Alright. This is one of the areas where I wish that she ran a little faster because, again, her walk speed is the same no matter how big or pulled out the map is, so in the really big ones, she just feels like she's walking really slow. But the fact that we don't have constant random battles does kind of take away the sting from that a bit, because imagine if there was a typical Final Fantasy encounter system and she walked at this speed, I would just be battling nonstop. Of course, let's not forget that we can still walk if we want to. So, it could be worse. And if I do miss something, I'm not too worried because it's not like there's super good treasures that you're going to be losing out on if you pick the wrong way. It's just like, there's a gun I might not use. Kind of like the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher actually would have worked well against those plant things, I believe. But the downside to putting an element onto one of your regular guns is that, like we saw with the snakes, there's some things where it's just going to make your gun not effective and you'd have to switch off to something else. Toss away some of this junk we're carrying. But yeah, the fact that she walks kind of slow and you have to run all the way back to the start to exit the area, there's no like faster exit, means that junk grinding is not fun. And it's not something I'm really looking forward to attempting to do. But I probably should for completion's sake. I'm not going to get all of them, because fuck that, but, you know, I'll try to get one at least. And like I mentioned, there is a special thing that is unlocked in New Game Plus that I don't know if I'm going to do because it's also very grindy and would require me to do like 10 playthroughs of the game. Wait, didn't I just open this chest and put junk in it? Let's not open that. Or was that a different one? Shit, now I can't remember if I opened this one or not. This area is fairly samey. This subsection of Central Park. But I imagine a lot of Central Park is like this, just kind of foresty and, you know, lakes and little creeks and stuff around. Well, lakes. Maybe a little more like a pond than a lake. Central Park is not that big. It's big for a park, but it's not some massive, like, forest area. I would like to see Central Park at some point, though. I know Manhattan is often, like, the kind of touristy part of New York, where all of the big monuments that you're familiar with that show up in all kinds of media are, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to see them at all if I went to New York. I've got family in New York, so I could go there. It's just family I don't like very much, so it's kind of a trade-off. It's like, do I want to spend some time there and put up with them in order to get to see all this stuff? We did get slow recently, but we don't have really a reason to use it on these guys. That's more for something you use on bosses. Because I don't think there are too many bosses that are immune to it. It's kind of the thing with, like, Final Fantasy, right? A lot of the time, it feels like it kind of defeats the point of having status effects, because the only thing you'd really want to use them on are bosses and high-level enemies, and usually bosses in Final Fantasy are immune to a majority of status effects, except for, like, one. It's like, oh, this boss happens to be susceptible to blind. Even though they're just kind of pre-rendered JPEGs, I do like these areas that give you kind of a distant shot of the city. Polar Bear also does have the belly slam. See, he walked outside of our range. The weird thing, too, is they seem to not have eyes anymore. It looks like the fur has just grown over their eyes, unless that whole black thing on their face is their eyes. Kind of a weird transition. You see how her gun turned into a handgun because she only has a handgun with her when she's out of combat? And then it transforms into whatever your actual gun is. So it's interesting that she does walk around armed when you're in a dungeon area. Yeah, these monkeys kind of look like vampires now that I can see their faces a little more clearly. Alright, I think we'll probably save at the next phone. Okay, there it is. I was gonna say, there's a battle up here, but not a guarantee. Oh, great. More of these mystery shit piles with vines coming out of them. Let's try out the grenade launcher. I'll have to remember that I'm gonna have to reload when I shoot. I want to see if they're weak against it. I could have used scan instead. Yeah, you can see that did a good amount of damage. Oh, I got poisoned. Oh, just heal for now. Prematurely disappearing explosion. Oh, that's not good. I might have to actually cure my poison. Thanks, mitochondria. You're not so bad. Good amount of XP from that fight, though. Alright, let's switch back to our real gun. And also use our bonus points to increase the ATB. Because it really should be putting points into that as well. Since the more actions you get in combat, the better. I think there's a phone in this tunnel down here. PE +1. Defense +1. Getting a nice big fat stack of bonuses. Now, is the other vest we got actually better? Because you have to compare the base stats. 26. Okay, I think it actually does compare the base stats. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, that's annoying to compare. 18, 14, 19. Okay, so it's really not that much better. I guess there's no good save point around here. There might be one up ahead, but I'm not really too worried about ending the episodes on the in-game days. So, you know, if we get to an episode where the next day comes kind of pretty early into the episode, we'll just continue instead of doing really short ones. This is going to be a fairly long one, but for our first dungeon, I think that's okay. Oh, there we go. I went back to look for a phone and it was really ahead of me. Okay, not a lot of room to maneuver here. The vines are pretty hard to avoid if you're in front of this thing, but if you're behind it, it's gonna gas you. All right. Wait, is this... Okay, just want to make sure that's not a side area there. So next time, we will continue our pursuit of Eve and see what exactly she is planning with her big collection of Jell-O. But until then, I've been Shadefyre. This is Parasite Eve, and I hope you'll join me next time. Till then, take care, folks.